Lack of vitamins can cause depression. The vitamin that is probably the most famous in treating mental illness is the vitamin Bs. Think of B vitamins as brain vitamins. Some of the B1, B2, B3s are responsible for the messages getting from cell to cell. They also are responsible for the little parts of the little energy cycles inside of every cell. But the vitamin B, the most famous, is vitamin B3, which is niacin, or called nicotinic acid. 1% of psychiatrists are treating mental illness with nutrition. Nice to know, isn't it? There are a few out there. And this is what they use. Sometimes they use up to 3,000 milligrams of nicotinic acid. That's 10,000 milligrams of nicotinic acid. That's 10 grams. That's a very high dose. It's not forever. It's just until the situation, the condition is brought under control. We have a DVD that our guests watch at night called Food Matters. I don't know if anyone's seen this DVD, Food Matters. Interesting DVD on the importance of food in health. And there's a story of a girl who was in a catatonic state, just sitting there looking at the wall. And her family heard about this nicotinic acid. And they put her on 11,000 milligrams. That's 11 grams. Do you know she snapped out of it? Came off her medication. It was incredible. They told the doctor, and the doctor said, "This is very dangerous." So they took her off it, put her on a medication, and now she's just sitting at the wall. No one has ever died from a vitamin overdose. If they did, would we hear about it? I tell you what, it'd be headlines. But my daughter, her girlfriend, had a baby in hospital. It was her second baby. The baby had a little cold. They put the baby on antibiotics. The baby died. The baby died within a few hours. You never hear of that. In fact, there's no ramification for that. That's why I say if you have a baby in the hospital, keep that baby next to you and get out as quickly as possible. There are some excellent nurses and there are some excellent doctors. There are some excellent plumbers and there are some excellent builders and there are some excellent painters and there are some not so good painters and plumbers, yeah? You just got to do your research. Lack of progesterone can cause depression. I think it was Thursday night when we looked at hormones and we saw that progesterone's nickname is happy hormone. And there are many people, particularly women, who are suffering from depression because they were on the pill when they were younger, or they had exposure to chemicals, or they're having too much exposure to plastics. All of these things displace progesterone with estrogen. And estrogen, when it's high and progesterone's low, depression can happen. So how do you remedy that? Well, the person can go on the Anna's Wild Yam Cream, which little by little by little will boost up the progesterone. And then they implement these 8 laws of health, and then little by little they can ease off their antidepressants. I've seen it happen many times. That's good news, isn't it? In fact, sometimes this imbalance in hormones is the missing link in depression. Because remember, you can't just get depression. There is a reason for that. And I've met some people who've been through some shocking things in their life. I read a book called by Dave Pelzer. I don't know if you read that, The Lost Boy. It was the third worst case of child abuse in American history. And this child, well, I'm not even going to tell you what he went through, but it was just absolutely horrific. It's amazing that the child even survived. He used to come to school with new bruises on him all the time. And he came to school one day and his hands were burnt up to his elbows. His mother used to put him in acid. Anyway, he never went home after that. They took him and put him in a foster home. Do you know that guy never had depression? He found freedom through forgiving his mother. And when he found out that his grandmother used to lock his mother in the cupboard whenever she's naughty, sometimes for days, he began to understand, you know. It didn't make what his mother did right, but he actually learnt to forgive. And he found freedom through forgiveness. And do you know that he got an award as Youth of the Year in America? This is, I think, back in about the 90s. Just incredible what this young man became, considering where he came from. And you read that book and you know what you think? I got no excuse. It's just incredible. And that's why I say it's not what's happened to you, it's what you do with it. And many people struggle with forgiveness because they think they've got to feel like it. That's why in my last lecture I showed you, you don't got to feel like it at all. How could you feel like it? Just do it. And remember, practice makes perfect, and practice makes permanent, and little by little it'll come in. So, progesterone, that's an important link in conquering depression. And we're looking at what causes an imbalance. Excess. What's the excess that can cause the chemical imbalance in the brain? Excess pain. If someone's in pain, the question mark has to be asked, why is this so? What can be done to relieve it? Hydrotherapy treatments, or maybe ginger poultices, or maybe high-dose turmeric, or maybe a trip to the osteopath to find out if the spine's aligned. One has to investigate as to why the pain is there to see what can be remedied. Also, excess food. This is a big thing today. People are just overloading the stomach and also putting food in all through the day, which irritates the stomach, irritates the nerves, and then the nerves all over the body get irritated. I know my first daughter, she's 40 now. When she was a little toddler, every time she'd get a little bit whingy or upset, I'd just give her half her apple and she'd be happy for a while. And then half an hour later, I'd give her a little bowl of sultanas. You know, I just gave her all these bits and pieces. And then I read about how we've only got one stomach, and that stomach needs a rest between meals. And often children are irritable because they're getting food all the time. And so I stopped her. And whenever she'd get a little bit irritable, I'd distract her, or I'd just sit and cuddle her for a while and read her a book, and I found I only had to do that for 5 minutes and then she'd be happy. And then I found she stayed happy. And I realised that the very thing I was giving her to make her happy was actually making her more irritable. And so after that I never gave my children anything to eat between meals. Now, I probably told you about Peter, who used to cry about 4 times through the meal because the banana would fall into the honey or the spoon would fall some. You know, sometimes he had to leave the room so much that he didn't hardly get any breakfast. And I used to think, I'm going to have trouble with that little one, and he was 3 or 4. So he'd come to me about 10 o'clock, Mum, I'm hungry. You know what you never do? You never say, well, you should have eaten your food, da, 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 da. You know, they're not dumb. They're really smart kids, okay? And you lose them when you nag. I'd say, well, have a big drink of water. He'd have a big drink of water, that'd keep him happy for a while. Now it's 12 o'clock, we don't eat till 1:30. I'm hungry. All right, if you sit very still, you can have a half a glass of almond milk or soy milk, or if I actually have carrot, celery and apple juice made, that'll keep him going a bit longer. Now it's 1 o'clock. Mum, I'm hungry. All right, if you sit very still, you can have a carrot. How long does it take a 3-year-old to eat a carrot? A long, long time. And by the time he's halfway through it, lunch is ready. You see, if I give him something at midday, he's not going to eat his 1:30 meal, and then he's going to be hungry at, 3? Can you see? And you know, it doesn't hurt to go a little bit of time without food. Stomach likes it. Excess food can cause depression. Excess stimulation. You know, we should allow ourselves times of peace. And today this is a huge problem. Eye stimulation means brain stimulation. And many people, the television's always on, or the iPad, or the games, or it's just go, 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 go.